Hello YouTube, this is Shirley426 and today we have the review of the Miniforce Burning Cera. So yesterday we looked at the main mech, which was Rex Kaiser from the latest season of Miniforce. Now, as I mentioned in that review, before this guy was released, they released 4 smaller units called Dinoids, Dinoid Warriors. Now technically this guy is also a Dino Warrior, but once again you get the idea. So they released 4. There's Burning Cera, there's Thunder Cera, which is the blue one, and then there's mdoe, which is orange, and then Frozen Tiger, which is also kind of whitish blue. So I'm going to be reviewing them, each of them, and today we're going to be looking at Burning Cera first. You know, you might be wondering why the red one first isn't like blue, the main leader. Once again, this is not like the mechs that the Miniforce like summons upon them so they can control it. These are also, as far as I know, based on what I've seen so far, are individual beings. They are sentient beings on their own. So yeah, and this is the first guy that actually shows up in the show as well. So that's why I'm reviewing it first, and then which means second one's going to be Thunder Cera, the blue one, and then the third I'm assuming going to be mdoe, and so on and so forth. So in this review we're going to be looking at first, and then we'll be transforming him into his somewhat of a super deformed / SD Dino head mode, and then after that we'll be combining with Rex Kaiser, because obviously each of these guys can transform into a part for this guy as like an upgrade weapon. So yeah, so once again I'll be right back with this guy out of the box. Okay, I'm back. So today, I would like to just mention that I have a bit of a sore throat suddenly. I don't know why, but once again, because of that, my voice may sound a little bit different. So please bear that in mind. All right, so I have him out of the box. So right off the bat, once you have everything out of the box, these are the stuff that you should be getting. The main unit itself, you get once again one of these Dino medals. And then you get an instruction manual. Now the instruction manual shows from the robot to Dino head mode, and then it actually literally mentions on text that if you want to go back to robot mode, just do the reversing from Dino head mode, and then from the Dino head mode they will also show you the instructions to how to make it into an arm to combine with Rex Kaiser. So yeah, in this review, so we'll be looking at this guy, articulation and details, and then we'll transform it, and then if there's anything, unless there's anything special, we'll move on to how to combine it with Rex Kaiser. So yeah, you do get the instruction manual, so nothing too special, and we get this thing, which I'm not exactly sure if kids these days are gonna actually give too much care about this. This is actually on the bottom of the box, inside the box. So this is supposed to, that if you collect all the other stuff, you're supposed to make some kind of a board that looks like a maze. And I feel like that's a bit stretched. But knowing the laws in Korea, in order to sell items, I have a general idea why they put this in the box. But once again, nothing too special. Alright, so once you get this thing out of the box, like Gundam Holic mentioned, you want to do one thing, is to this part will be actually inside, so you want to pull this out. Now I have zero idea what this is. Nothing is mentioned in the manual, but once again these look like some kind of hands, kind of like a fist, which might be for Rex Kaiser D9, where you have all the released Dino units, and then I believe 2 to 3 units become a huge, large sword / spear thing, and this might be the peg that you need to connect that weapon, because once this guy turns into the arm mode for Rex Kaiser, there's no physical hand in that mode. So I'm guessing maybe that's going to be like a peg hole for that thing. So once again, once you have the Dino medal, now unlike Rex Kaiser, this thing doesn't actually have a specific purpose to log anything in. It's just like a gimmick for the show. So I believe this is the correct way based on the manual shows. If not, I could be wrong. I might need to watch the TV show again. But yeah, they usually connect these to the back skirts as well. All right, so let's see what we got. Let's start from top to bottom as usual. All right, let's start with the head. Now once again, we have I think Gundam Holic did mention this, but up to this point, Miniforce didn't really do any, how should I say, the human facial type, mechs. So like the ones that we see in like J-Decker, like when the robots talk, or the mechs talk, they actually look like human faces with their mouths moving. So up to that point, a certain point, Miniforce didn't have those type of designs, and I believe this is the first time they're doing it. or that's at least what Gundaholic said. So I might need to check a few designs, but once again, the head looks pretty cool, pretty well made. Everything looks pretty clean, despite some parts being colored and such. So yeah, and then the head itself is on a ball joint, so you do have some articulation going down, up, and then rotation is possible. Now, once again, most of these joints are pretty tight, actually really, really tight than I expected. So it's actually pretty good. Being tighter is always better than being too loose, because at least you have some control on how tight you can make it. Alright, and then before we go to the back, let's look at the main body. The body, unlike Rex Kaiser, there's no ab crunch, but you do have a nice ratchet jointed rotation joint here. And then now we have the backpack. Now the backpack may definitely feel a little bit messy. This is mostly because of the transformation and combining gimmick thing. So yeah, you have the backpack that can go up and down because of this joint as well. And then you have these horns that can move up and down because they are on ball joints, so you can technically rotate them if you want to do so. And in this robot form, these things don't really serve a specific purpose. So yeah, if you are bothered, you could always technically detach this, which I assume is going to be needed for the transforming into arm mode as well. So yeah, they just connect to pegs and nothing too special. And then you have these joints, which in this form doesn't really serve a purpose, so I'm guessing it's the arm mode. And then once again for the back skirt, you can move it up and down as well with the metal on, and we have a very familiar looking joint here, so yeah. Alright, so now let's get the arms. Now the arms themselves are connected on a gigantic ball joint on the arm, and on the other side it's just a joint, so you can move the shoulder like up and down like that. But once again, this is going to be mostly needed for the transformation. And because it is on a ball joint, 360 twist is possible. And then because of the design wise, going to the side, not much of an option. This is as far as you can go. But once again, keep in mind, this is a toy meant for kids, so it's not a hobby grade level. It's not like for a collector's thing. These are for the mass public, for kids. So keep that in mind. Articulation or details is not going to be its main priority, but once again, it's the designer who added in all these stuff as much as possible. And then the arms, once again, it's kind of in a similar way. You have a ball joint and another joint here, so you do have a 90-degree bend, or you could actually no. Okay, so this is a different joint than I expected. So yeah, so because of the structure, 90-degree bend is as far as you go. So no double joint bend, but once again, this is mostly limited because of the transformation here, because there's a lot of parts that you need to transform or turn certain parts in a very specific angle to make this work. And now you might be wondering, what are those weapons on the arms? So these are also connected to pegs, so no need to worry about that. And despite how the hands look, they do actually rotate here. But once again, this is kind of needed for the transformation here. So these are basically pile drivers, if you ask me. So I think that's the best term. You can actually push this part out to give out that extra, pile driver look. So pretty cool design and weapon. Actually, didn't really expect us to see this type of weapon in Korea, especially for mechs. But once again, very impressed. So you have two of those. Each arm works pretty much the same way. Now let's look at the legs. The legs, you can see there's no specific thing like blocking the way other than maybe the back skirt, so you're kind of free to move. So going forward, once again, ratchet joint is there. Going to the back, almost 90 degrees, mostly blocked by this thing, so no big deal. And then going to the side 90 degrees is also possible, so pretty well done. And then a side swivel is there, but not a side swivel. It's one of those, how should I say, those T-shaped pegs, round pegs, so that you can rotate around. And then you do have a 90-degree bend going on here, so pretty well done as well. And then finally for the feet, now the feet don't actually have any rotation because they aren't on the joint here. So, but because of the joint structure, you do have a nice pivot joint, so you can always spread out the legs a little bit better, a little bit wider if you want to do so. Now, my biggest gripe, now the reason why I actually got interested in Miniforce toys is because, or this specific season is because, not this guy, but the blue one called Cera and mostly Rex Kaiser, and they actually showed hints and signs of like feet articulation, mostly like this ankle joint here, because the whole point of like old DX toys or old toys in general, they would not have any joints in the feet. So it's always like you have to make it stand like this in a T-shaped post stance, or they always just make the feet like tilted these days. So you can make the stand look natural, but that's pretty much it. You can't do anything if you try to like do dynamic poses because of the static feet. You're just pretty much locked into place. But once again, I am seeing signs of certain joints that I did not see from other toys, which is why I got interested in this lineup in general. Alright, so we've seen the basics of this unit, so I think next thing is to show or to see the Dino head mode. Now the Dino head mode is literally this guy transforms into a triceratops head with wheels on it. And yes, in the show they actually transform into that and just, you know, roam around or run away like a vehicle. So a little bit funny, but oh well, I guess they would try to go with something different. So I'll be right back with that form and we'll see from there. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the Dino mode. So once again, this may seem a little bit wacky or funny to some people, but once again, this is actually seen in the TV series / show as well. You can actually see them like running, roaming like in this form time to time. So, yeah. Once again, it's a bit goofy, but once again, it's a very new style design, so it kind of has its own charm. So in this mode, there's not much you can do. Everything's like pretty much locked into place, and then the only parts you can maybe move it are these horns that was from the backpack, and some parts forming is required. Basically, you have to take off the backpack and then slap it onto the top at the main end, and obviously there are some weapon parts that you need to, you know, take it off and then rotate and then put it back on because of the structure, because they actually added some really nice locking mechanisms so that this thing does not feel any loose by any means as well. And once again, if you want, maybe you can also move it like this so that it's opening its mouth and maybe talking around, but yeah. And the metal is still here. You can do this with the metal or without the metal because this thing does not actually affect anything regarding the transformation here. Alright, so there's not much to show here, but once again, the manual will actually continue from this mode. So if you want to make this into the arm mode, you actually need to start from here, not from robot mode. So yeah, I'll be right back with the robot mode, and from there we'll see how it connects with Rex Kaiser, because there are some parts I do need to explain using Rex Kaiser for the combination. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the arm mode of Burning Cera. So once again, actually it looks pretty convincing, but once again, this is supposed to be like a pile driver type weapon. And once again, those small hands I was talking about in the legs, now I was only looking at the images of the instruction manual, but when you're looking at Burning Cera, they refer this as to parts. But now when I'm transforming this into this mode, now they refer this as to hand. So yeah, this is supposed to be the hand when transformed into the arm for Rex Kaiser. And the fact that you have the other arm, another one here, is that this is supposed to be interchangeable for left or right arm. So it doesn't really matter which way you do, which way you're supposed to do it. But once again, I'm going to follow the cartoon and the box. So this is supposed to be going onto the right arm. So this is the main connecting point. Now, what you need to do for Rex Kaiser is pretty simple, and I actually do like what you're supposed to do with. Now, for now, I took away the sword because the sword, technically in the series, he just kind of summons it out, so it's not always being carried around with him, unlike these rifles onto the back. So now we have to work with the right arm, but because of this rifle, if you do try to fold it outwards, this rifle is going to get in the way. So what you need to do is, number one, pull this out, and number two, fold this golden claw inwards so that nothing gets in the way. So number three, you fold this back in, and then onto the opposite side of the leg. So if this is the right arm, that means then you go for the left leg, and then you have all these pegs and holes here. So you have this connection here. So you get this peg here, and then connect it to this joint right over here. And there you go. And then there's also another peg here that you can connect, and this is pretty much stores the weapon into the leg. Now, technically, it's always on the back, but if you don't mind the cartoon or accuracy, you can always just store them into the leg if you want, if that is your preferred way. So with this, we don't need to worry about the rifle, and all we need to do is fold the arms like this, do it like this, and fold it in and store it onto the back. Now, if you want to, you can lock it into place right with this, but if you do connect this peg here, then you're going to be locking the top body rotation point as well. So just do as what you please, or just go on with the way how you prefer, or like it. And then, like I mentioned on yesterday's review, you can rotate this part. Now this is kind of stiff. Oh, there we go. And it reveals another joint here, and all you need to do is pretty much slide it downwards. There we go, and we have the connection. Now I know this is the same type of joint that they used on the previous season for the main mech, so what was it, Justice Titan or something like that. Now I do like that design, but I don't like the way how the gimmick works in that mech in general, which is why I passed on it. Alright, so once again we have the arm complete, and despite how this thing looks and how it transforms, you still have a bit of articulation with the bending point, because basically this section here is the leg area. So, and then you're using the thigh areas to make it look like it's a articulated arm. And with that small hand, it does look convincing, but not the best design. And when you compare with actual Rex Kaiser's hand, it is much smaller. So just go as you please. But once again, we have the arm connected here, and despite this, you do actually have a rotating point here, and then because of the way how this joint works, you can actually move the armwards to the side. Not exactly 90 degrees, but you do have a little bit of room to move that as well. So they actually did consider articulation even after combining as well. Granted, some parts will look a little bit obvious where that's the leg or waist area, but once again, really up to your imagination here. Now in the series, the pile driver, you would think it would be on the side of the arm because of how this guy was using it, but no, in the series he kind of holds it like a gun as well. And then because it's a pile driver, just pretty much a tackle type punch move is how it's done, but not exactly in a fist way. Hopefully that makes sense. And that is pretty much it for the review. So once again, even with the combination form, nothing feels loose or sloppy at all, because I know, like for example, Transformers, like now the technology has been really well improved, but back then in like the combiners stuff, they would sometimes look, from Hasbro, they would look sloppy or they're just kind of forced. But now this one doesn't actually look anything like forced. Everything like just fits like a glove. And that is pretty much it for the review. So this was the review of the Miniforce latest series, the Ultimate Dino. That's my guess assumption on the English title. But once again, there is a new season of the Miniforce. They have a bunch of new toys, and this is from that series as well. So today we looked at Burning Cera, which is this red guy. Yesterday we looked at Rex Kaiser, which is the main unit you see in front of you. There are still 3 more, and then I'm assuming there's going to be another extra 3 in the future as well, because there's already a 5th small unit that's been shown in the series, which is basically a pterodactyl, same kind of character as well, and his element is going to be wind. So yeah. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.